to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 344 of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be discussing Clown, a movie about clowns. I'm the editor-in-chief over at bloodygoodhorror.com. First up tonight, joining me, the designer of the webs at bloodygoodhorror.com. His name is Mark.
Hi.
Webs.
All of them.
Next up, he drinks beer. His name is Joe.
That's true. Both facts. 100%.
Next up tonight, he lives in New York City. He works at the world's largest search engine, and his name is John Schnars.
What?
Ask Jeeves, shout out. Live on the show.
We're back.
That's right. And last up tonight, he is a writer of horror fiction, and he lives in Indiana. His name is Casey.
Hi, everybody.
Yes. Hello.
It's your boy.
It's your boy.
Tonight we're reviewing Clown. This is another movie chosen by the Bloody Good Horror Patreons. Those beautiful sons of bitches that they are. We gave them a list, and this is what they voted on. And you know what? There wasn't a single door creaking open or picture frame flipping over in this whole movie, so I approve.
No ghosts.
Yes.
No Lin Shaye.
That's right.
There had to have been a door creaking.
Right, but it was not by like an unseen spirit who just was pissed off about something and you had to fix their life.
Yeah.
As long as it wasn't that, we're fine.
Fix their life.
That's every ghost movie. Hey, fix his ghost life. He's upset. Wah, I'm a ghost.
What's wrong,
Wah.
buddy?
Yeah.
Let's get to know each other.
So
My mom was a stripper.
we're here tonight to talk about Clown, crazy ass movie. First up, as we do every week, let's do a little BGH housekeeping.
Oh,
Mark. We have a little bit. We got a little bit of movement on some of the Patreon inspired things going on. Do you want to just kind of tease that a little bit? Just
Yeah,
tease it.
for sure. Tease it out. If you are a
Put
patron,
on
you
your
will
French
be seeing
ticklers.
perhaps some visual teasers coming up for some of the new design stuff we have. I was running through some sticker options with Eric and John, and we've got some funky shit coming up.
They're pretty cool. The stickers are cool. I approve.
They're pretty cool. So we're going to do stickers, we're going to do coasters, and then soon up will be the t-shirts after that. So that stuff is in motion, and I think you will expect to see that becoming a real thing towards the end of September, beginning of October, John? Question mark?
Maybe even sooner. We'll see.
If I get my shit together, it'll be sooner rather than later, but
It's more like
it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, like how quickly stuff gets turned around by printers and all that nonsense. We'll find out. But yeah.
We should also mention, we already mentioned it on our various social medias, but we have broken the $800 a month mark, which is fantastic. Thank you guys so much.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, we gotta start reading some names on this show again, because I think we've got some new people to thank since the last time we read it.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like something
yeah.
Schnars is in charge of. So
I can. Yeah, you know what, guys? I'm not gonna lie. We may have forgotten, and when I say we, I mean I may have forgotten about doing that.
May have. Yeah.
We'll circle back.
in the
But
meantime,
sorry.
go ahead.
I
Continue.
was just gonna say that's happening on Patreon, so we're gonna have the first sort of physical manifestation of all of the Patreon stuff. Also, Patreon bought me this webcam, so now you get to see me in crystal clear, 720 something or other.
Keep
Otter
waving
vision.
your hand. It's like messing with the lighting. It's hilarious.
So that's happening,
High
and
def
also,
otter action.
yeah. So we're putting your money to good use, and on the website, we have new reviews every day. By the time you hear this, Sophie's Scream drinking game will be live on the website, which is pretty awesome. We've been doing this thing called Thirsty Thursdays, where the first Thursday of every month, Sophie comes up with a drinking game. Last month it was Lost Boys, and this month it is Scream. Also, Cece has announced the book for the book club in September, which is Hell House by Richard Matheson. So there's information on that on bloodygoodhorror.com, and it will also be on our subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/BGH.
Whoa!
Is that drawer shut sufficiently?
Did someone
Awesome.
fall off their
Spooky
chair?
door creakings are
Yeah.
Is that a
happening on the
picture frame
show.
flipping over?
Yeah, it's the
The
ghost.
taste of the macabre has come to the live stream.
Mark, I have to admit, you just said all the things.
Yeah,
That was pretty good.
right.
That
I
was
would be
impressive.
surprised if anyone remembers one of those things, let alone all.
The only thing
five.
I'd add, just that if you're interested in the Patreon, finding out kind of how to get more access to Bloody Good Horror, including the video live stream of the show, just go to bloodygoodhorror.com. There's a link at the top of the page. That's the only plug for tonight. I think we'll move on.
That's it.
Very quickly, we wanted to just kind of RIP one Mr. Wes Craven. Passed away this week. The creator of such franchises as The Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, of course, also Last House on the Left, Hills Have Eyes. John, you and I may have debated on this show at previous times who was better, him or Carpenter.
Oh, yeah,
well,
definitely.
I think I
Yeah.
said him, and you almost went up one side of me, down the other.
I mean,
But now
Sounds
that he's
right.
dead, he's
Sounds
gonna
right.
say
Do
the
it
same
again.
thing.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Listen, I'm sad he's gone, and he's a cool dude, and he
Here's
gave
the only
lots
reason
of
why I might
good heart
argue he's
things.
better than Carpenter, and that is The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Oh,
And
I
he
love
didn't
the
make
Serpent.
he didn't make Ghost of Mars.
well, he did make my soul
Hold
to
on.
take.
I was gonna
Okay,
say, if
okay,
we're gonna
that's fair.
stack worst on worst, like,
Yeah.
How about they're
it's
just
ugly. real
How about
quick.
we just say they're twinsies?
Yeah,
Mm.
no,
Yeah.
they're both good. I have my
Best
preference,
buds.
and I'll leave it at that.
But yeah, you
No,
know,
but it's a sad
obviously
day,
a loss
you're
for the horror world because he was still involved. I mean, he was involved in the Nightmare remake, was my understanding, at least on some kind of producer level. He's involved in Scream 4. He
was
directed
involved
Scream
in
4, didn't he?
I think
Yeah.
he was listed as executive producer on the Scream MTV
The
thing,
series-
which
the
Yeah, I
series,
think he
okay.
did have some sort of
So,
involvement.
you know, he was involved with it. And I'm going to push to the website because Mark put together a very nice... Was it Mark? No, who put it together?
I think it was
Colin.
Colin put it together.
A very nice compendium of the Bloody Good Horror Crew's thoughts on Wes Craven, but I'll just say the most fascinating thing to me was that he was like a professor until he was like 33 or something, and then just decided he wanted to make movies, and that's awesome because I think that sometimes like everybody's so young and doing amazing things, and by the time you get to the ripe old age of 33, which is my current age, John, you kind of think maybe you've done all the things. But here's a guy who just said, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to go make a movie where some dude spools this girl's intestines out, and it's going to be fun.
Did you see? Did anyone read where he was big into bird watching too? That was a new one for me. I did not know.
Ooh,
that.
I bet him and what's his name, Otis from Devil's Rejects, would get along well.
John, I think you mean macabre bird watching.
Yeah, well, it's, come on, of course.
Well, that's a spooky
Spooky
crow.
treasures for William and Sonoma.
But yeah,
So,
you know, I think
I mean,
not a lot of icons left like him. So
Well, the thing I wanted to mention, and I kind of mentioned this a little bit in the piece of the site, is that he is by far one of the most recognizable names in horror, if only because, like, you know, us growing up in the 80s, and our parents basically like bringing us to the video store to rent these movies. Like, I actually heard about this in the car ride home with my mom from a family vacation. And when I found out, she like started telling a story about how Eric made her watch Scream, and the fact that he's recognizable enough that my mom can draw this connection to the movies is pretty crazy.
and to
right?
draw that connection as opposed to Nightmare on Elm Street is kind of funny too.
Well, and I'm sure it was part of like countless TV specials, like in the 80s, like is Wes Craven corrupting your children, which is kind of cool that he's got that legacy of, you know.
Answer yes.
He was,
Yeah, and you know that legacy of inspiring creativity and being sort of tied to all of these movies that were really formative for everyone. I don't think you'll find any fan that's our age that wasn't touched by some of the movies he did. So you know, it's definitely a big loss. He lived a long, full life and left a lot behind. But
Yeah.
I'm just laughing about thinking back to our email earlier today.
Yeah, about
To
keeping
go
it
with Mark's
short.
curse.
Not cool. So yeah, Wes Craven, and like I said, check out the crew's thoughts at bloodygoodhorror.com. Pretty big loss for the horror genre, but guy left pretty impressive legacy behind. I think it's safe to say.
I still think I didn't get to put. I never got a chance to put my 2 cents in on the article on the site, but I would say, outside of the obvious choices like Nightmare and stuff like that, I still think one of my favorite movies of his is People Under the Stairs, just because it was weird and it was out there.
Probably my second least favorite, under my soul to take, but I understand that I might be the minority in that view.
Yeah.
I
think
actually
it might
think
be.
My soul to take was probably one of the funnest episodes we've ever done. Though.
Yes.
So even
Yeah.
if the movie was really bad, it still,
A magical
It's a top
blind,
five.
a magical blind kid, man.
Yeah.
Greatest
it's
character in
top
horror
five.
history.
I thought, you should. This is a little bit of a spoiler for our kind of thoughts on the website, but I will say it's worth reading, if only for Sophie's, because I don't know if you guys had a chance to read Sophie's, but it's so out of left field that it's like pretty shocking. So go to bloodygoodhorror.com and read Sophie's first access to Wes Craven, and you will no doubt be surprised.
Fun.
It was
Yeah.
her choice.
Good tease there. Good tease. I like
Mark,
it.
speaking of legacies, you know who's going to leave a pretty big legacy?
Oh God.
His name is Joe.
Oh,
Oh, I
His
thought you were
name-
gonna say Jimmy Snuka. I thought that's what it was.
Ooh,
Oh.
too soon, buddy. Too soon. Listen, no one should be shocked
What?
when a professional wrestler gets arrested for murdering his girlfriend.
I was just about to say, what happened to Jimmy Snuka? Because I saw people talking about
Apparently,
it on Twitter,
he was
but I just-
arrested for the murder of a girlfriend that happened like 30 years ago, and finally, somebody just realized that he had told like 20 different stories about it, and went, maybe.
It might be a
the
real
murder is like 30 years old?
Yes, happened.
It
a
was in
long time
83.
ago. Yeah,
That is
exactly
crazy.
30 years. Yeah, so whatever. Way to bring it down. I want to talk about how awesome Joe was.
oh, hey.
You had to bring up Superfly. Joe, every week here in the show, you bring us a beer recommendation based on that week's movie. Let us know what we are drinking this week.
Sure. So I think pretty obvious. We're reviewing a movie called Clown, and because of that, I picked a beer from the good folks at Clown Shoes, which I don't think we need to explain how that makes sense. They're from Ipswich, Massachusetts, which is a place. And the beer I picked of theirs is their Muffin Top, which is a triple. Which I think I've talked about these in the past. When you get into a double
Top.
and a triple and even a quad, like there's no real sort of set characteristics for a beer style like that. Like
I
it's
really wish
just...
you'd warned me so I could have pulled up the 30 Rock Muffin Top song.
Oh, well, there you go.
My muffin top is all that low fat. I love
Wow,
that. I
John.
love that song. It's a good
The
song.
best.
So
Yeah.
this one has a decent amount of hops, which I feel like with a style like this you usually don't get, but a really sort of like piney, even like grapefruit aroma, but still has almost like a bready and then like even like a little bit of like a funky smell to it. Not in a weird way though. And then the taste does sort of have that hop backbone. Like you get a lot of that citrus, but still very on like the malty side. So you get kind of that bready sort of balance. So it's a really interesting beer. Like it's hard to describe. I would definitely just say if you can find it, give it a go. Clown Shoes puts out some pretty interesting brews, and most of their stuff is pretty high in alcohol content. So that'll do you well. This one comes in at 10%, which is it's up there.
Ooh.
It'll
Sounds
make
like-
your evening.
Sounds like a Joe beer to me.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
are you drinking that right now?
If you're looking to
Get
put
drunk
a
and sleep
baby
on the
in your,
couch.
you're looking to make babies with your loved one. This is the beer you're gonna want to start off with. Clownshoesbeer.com is their website. Yeah, just think about it. Think about.
No,
think about
I'm
me
with you.
doing
I was visualizing.
I usually just put on a pair of actual clown shoes.
There you go.
It's a whole thing. I probably shouldn't be talking about it.
Did I say clownshoebeer.com is their website?
Sure.
And there you go.
Sure.
Muffin Top.
Man, Joe bringing the heat as always.
Dig
Thank
it.
you, Joe. I wish you'd warn me though. Again, would have loved to pull that song, but Muffin Top.
He did.
Whole grain,
Well,
low
he
fat.
texted you the.
Yeah, I mean,
That's okay. I will listen. I'll queue up Werewolf Bar Mitzvah for the end of the show.
Nice.
Scary.
Wolves be coming. Okay. All right, guys. That's it for the beginning of Bloody Good Horror. Let's take a quick break and discuss Clown.
Goddamn Brenda's exploding like a water balloon. Worms driving my friends around like they're goddamn skin cars. People are spitting acid at me, turning you into cottage cheese, and now there's no fucking goddamn Mr. Pibb.
Jesus Christ, Jack, let me get right on it.
Hi, this is Tom Savini, and you're listening to BloodyGoodHorror.com. Senator, your big breaking TV. From the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
And we're back. Clowns, John.
We're back.
Do you have a healthy fear of clowns? I feel like all people should.
You know, I never really had a clown thing. I don't know. They're just
I don't know.
weird.
I don't know
They're
if that's
just
what we asked,
fucking. They're
Joe.
just weird.
You didn't have a
Would a
good
clown
clown thing
thing-
or a bad clown thing?
Would a clown thing be lumped in there with Lunars?
Oh,
Wow, that's
There's
a little
gotta-
bit.
I
different.
do have a healthy fear of Clown House the movie because icky, but
I don't know what you're talking about. now.
you do. But I don't feel like talking about it again, so we're gonna move on. John, words,
Yes.
words.
Mm-hmm.
Please bring us the word of the day.
I would be delighted to. Today's word is facetious.
Ooh.
oh.
That is FACETIOUS, treating serious issues with deliberately inappropriate humor. Flippin'.
I like that word. I use that word a lot.
Well, do you use it correctly? That's the real
I
question.
normally use it when I can't tell if somebody's being sarcastic with me. Are you being facetious?
And they say, yeah, so it comes from the Latin facetus, Facetus, which means witty. Kind of passes through a couple different versions, but, you know, you can kind of see how that works. So, yes, facetious.
I like it.
Nailed
Maybe
it.
not your best work tonight, Joe.
Joe, God,
Hey,
man. What's a guy got to do around here?
I feel like you took 20 seconds just to spell it, and then
No.
Joe talking shit about John's word is kind of my favorite new thing on the
So-
show. I really enjoy it.
I was going to go with clown, and I didn't.
I was gonna.
Listen, this show would have been ended. I would have pulled this podcast over if you had said clown.
You know
Would
what?
you have gone with clown or cloyne?
Well, that's why. So I went to like look up clown to see if that whole like cloyne thing they were talking about was just complete nonsense, and I think it is. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
In
So
Soviet Russia.
yeah,
Cloying clowns you.
yeah, there was not a good sort of like clown, thing. So I
There never
stopped there.
is. There never is. John, tell us
Yeah.
what clown is about, please.
Sure. Clown.
Surprise.
Eli Roth presents Clown is the story of a young family, Kent, Meg, and Jack. Jack is having a birthday party to kind of start the movie, and the clown doesn't show up to the birthday party. They've like rented a clown, and he's not, whatever, getting there. So Meg calls Kent and is like, honey, there's no clown. Like, what are we going to do? He just happens to be at a house that he is trying to sell. He's a real estate agent. And in the house, there is a clown costume. And so he says to himself, I'm going to be a great dad, and I'm going to put on this clown costume. He goes home, he sort of performs for the kid, and they all kind of, go about their business. After the party, however, he realizes that he cannot take the clown costume off. So he's got... Yeah, it's a little scary, but he's got like a
Twist.
clown shirts and pants, and then he's wearing a clown wig, and he's got like the red nose, and none of it'll come off. And so there's sort of the first act of the movie is him kind of figuring out what the hell's going on. He like uses all these different tools to try and cut it off. He cuts himself. Eventually, he has his wife pull the nose off. Which literally like rips off a chunk of his nose, and he's bleeding everywhere. And yeah, I mean, it's basically just a bunch of crazy, sort of set pieces about him trying to get this clown costume off. He eventually starts to do some research into the history of the costume. That's when he runs into this guy Carlson, played by Peter Stormare. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Sure.
Sure. Okay.
Yes.
Known from many, many things, including Fargo and The Big Lebowski. He's just one of those character actor kind of badasses. He basically eventually reveals this whole sort of backstory around the costume. where it turns out the costume is not really a costume at all. It's like a demon that has been, I don't know, imbued into this outfit. And the wearer of this thing is basically inhabited by the demon.
It's
and
a
so,
curse.
I always like to think of Peter Stormare as the Russian cosmonaut in Armageddon,
yeah.
who freaks out and starts destroying the space station.
That
Is he not Russian?
I don't
Talk
think
about
so.
getting
He's,
typecast, man. Holy
Swedish.
shit.
He's Swedish.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
There you go.
Gotcha.
He's just awesome.
Yeah,
No,
he's a great character
never
actor.
not
Yeah, I enjoy his
amazing.
work.
Yeah, and so the rest of the movie is sort of about this guy Kent's transition into just full on demon and kind of the way that he wrestles with that. So, you know,
The
if we
Eric
wanna
version would be a dude puts on a clown suit and then he can't get it off.
Yeah. Well, but then you get this whole backstory, and this kind of gets us like I'll stop here because this is kind of like end of Act 2. It's revealed that to sort of end the clown curse, he basically has to kill 5 children, 1 child for each month of winter. This is the whole like cloyne myth that gets revealed. So
If it was upstate New York, it'd be more like 8 kids. Boom.
You just put 5 quarters in the coin slot and you're all
Because
done.
winter lasts very long up here, so
yes, I follow.
you'd have
I
to kill
follow.
more children. Mark,
Yeah.
clown. Did you know anything about this? What'd you think about it? Oh, I'm sorry, real quick, John. You mentioned this isn't out in the States yet. We could find like barely any information. I couldn't barely find like a cover, like a poster for this movie.
Yeah,
So it's a little bit of a mystery to us.
We were discussing the production history. So really quick on the production history, the director John Watts, he wrote and directed this with a friend. Chris Ford is the other guy's name. They posted a fake trailer for this online, and the trailer was like Eli Roth presents Clown, and it was like kind of this goofy, gory trailer. Eli Roth saw it and then helped them actually make the movie. It has just never been released. So it got a release in Italy. It got a release a couple other countries in Europe. It has been on VOD, but just not in the US.
It should get a release. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's sort of unclear what the hell's going on. And I really did try to read. Joe was giving me a hard time earlier, but I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on with this and couldn't find much. Also notable, the producers on this or some of the producers were the Weinsteins. I don't know if you guys caught that.
I did. It's like straight up. They get a credit pretty early on.
Yeah.
Amy.
So.
Amy and her husband.
Yep. Amy Weinstein.
Yes,
That is
Joe.
the one.
Yes.
Make a great pot roast, those Weinsteins.
And Harvey.
So anyway, yeah, just it's an interesting one because usually we can find a little more info, but I thought that was kind of interesting. Also, we didn't try that hard for the record, so
Wow.
it's probably okay.
I mean, I really did.
Mark.
Run some searches on this.
Yeah.
John, don't pretend. Mark, what did you think of Clown?
So I'm glad that you interrupted me to call back to John, because the thing he said about this being not a real movie that became a real movie makes this whole thing make a lot more sense. One of the things that we kept coming back to in our discussion offline was that this would have been a great short in an anthology, or what was that series of Masters? This would have been a really great Masters of Horror sort of thing. It's got a pretty cool premise. It is like this is like almost a double pun, but it's pretty on the nose in terms of like this movie is pretty much exactly what you would expect it to be. The effects are great. It is like pretty creepy. There's some interesting body horror stuff going on in there. I couldn't tell if it was intentionally funny or not. It is way too fucking long. It is like at least 20 minutes too long, and it drags ass like pretty intensely in the middle. But in terms of a kind of by the numbers, like, hey, make a horror movie about a clown suit that curses someone, this is pretty much exactly what you would expect.
Nailed
There's just
it.
not a ton that's particularly interesting or stands out about it outside of that.
Joe.
Yeah, I'm probably in line with Mark. Maybe a little less nice, because that's just the way I am. I agree. I thought it was, a little bit too long. I'll say the movie has a weird tone because I kind of get what they were going for. Like, it's definitely very dark. I mean, John, I think you mentioned over email, like they kind of make you sympathize with this father, but at the end of the day, he's also, trying to kill kids. So it's, it's
I
got a
find people
weird tone to
usually
it.
frown upon that. So
And for a movie where a guy is turning into a clown, it's very serious. Like there's some humor in the beginning when
the
he
beginning,
first.
I found the
Yeah.
beginning super funny in a
Yeah.
really effed up way. It just gets so weird.
But
Like,
then that probably lasts like maybe 15, 20 minutes. And then it really kind of plays it serious for the rest of the movie, which, I get it. I know what they were trying to do. But at the end of the day, you're still watching a guy turn into a clown. So it's hard to take that serious tone.
But he's a scary clown.
Yeah, I guess.
Spooky.
And yeah. I mean, I thought, the acting was okay. I didn't think anybody kind of stood out. I do like, what the heck's his name that we were just talking about from Fargo? Like he's always good. But outside of that, there wasn't much to it. So I wasn't a giant fan of this.
Casey.
This is the second time I've seen it. I also watched it for another podcast that will not be named, I guess, with my wife. It was the second time I watched it. Watching it the second time, I thought it actually held up pretty well to what I got out of it the last time. I don't think this is the greatest horror movie ever made, but at the same time, I think these guys went for it. It was a dumb concept, kind of a dumb idea. It's a silly little idea, but they went for it, and because they went for it so hard, it actually worked out pretty good, and it was a fun flick. It's something different. It was goofy, so it's something fun that you would stumble across late night on cable channel or something.
Definitely different. Yeah, I got to give it that for sure. John, what'd you think?
I'm pretty in line with everyone. I don't know. If anything, I'm kind of now that we've talked about it, swinging a little bit back toward the positive side. I knew nothing about this going in. Like I was going in assuming it was just your standard clown murders people type of thing.
You thought people were just clowning around. That's
I'm
Clowning
tired
around.
I'm tired of letting
Clowning around.
this clowning tell the clowns. No, so the I was trying to think of it. One of my favorite Simpsons episodes is when Homer goes to clown college, and there's like one of the best lines. I'll think of it in a little bit, but
Story.
the but
Cool story, bro.
I just thought this ended up being way different than I expected. For me, it was way too long. I don't know. Like there was a lot of stuff that I didn't like about it, but then at the end of the day, I kind of look back and go, pretty interesting. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of like stuff we should kind of nitpick on, but that's kind of where I ended up, I guess.
I do feel like this would almost be like if I saw this at a horror hound, I would actually probably like it more. Like if I saw this in a group of people and people were reacting to the clown business happening in real time.
Oh my god, this would be a huge festival thing. I could 100% see that. Yeah.
Also, sorry, fuck that Mr. Rogers gift that's appearing.
Yeah, it turns out I can throw gifts in the old
Jesus, it's too much
video there. So this is what you're missing, non-Patreoners. I'm gonna put it right next to my face. Hello, neighbor.
Okay, there you
How
go.
y'all doing? Yeah.
Didn't want to interrupt the flow too much, but I couldn't help.
I'm pretty on board with everybody else here. I'm pretty positive coming away from this. I'm always the one who's harping on like, I just want to see original shit. I want to see something that I have not seen before. And what I love about this movie, and the reason why I think I would recommend it to adventurous horror fans, is that they take a batshit crazy premise and they run with it. Literally, what if a dude put on a clown suit and then couldn't get it off, and it like fused to his body and he became a demon? The first act of this film is genius.
Yeah, real dumb.
The first act of this film is genius, and I wouldn't be surprised if they had that part first. Like, okay, this is what we know we're doing, and then they sort of had to ad-lib the rest, because it's like, once it really starts coming to fruition, you're just like, I'm not sure they knew where this was going at some point. And it gets friggin' dark, like weirdly dark, especially considering how kind of black humory the beginning is. There's this whole part where he's like trying to cut the clown suit off himself, and then he like covers himself in makeup to cover up the clown makeup, which is now permanently on his face. It's so weird.
Well, and then he starts killing children.
Yeah, and
is what you mean.
I think
that's
Mark,
around where it takes the turn.
Yeah, I think Mark or somebody was saying like, totally, it would make an awesome piece of an anthology, or it feels like an old like Tales from the Dark Side.
Credit to Joe on that one.
Yeah,
Joe was the one who first brought
thanks.
that point up.
Sorry, Joe. But I really like it a lot. I think it's super original. It's not perfect, but I really applauded this movie's weirdness and its stick-to-itiveness when it comes to said weirdness.
Yeah.
I've been
At no
kinda
point did they
checking-
stop going with the clown thing. You're right. Like they,
Oh, very clowny.
They were like, if we're calling this movie Clown,
we're not bailing out halfway through and
This
turning
whole
him
film
into
is
like a
literal
dog.
clown shoes.
Do
I
you
was,
want to mime clowns or?
I was kind of checking my nose all day to see if I still had it.
That was pretty brutal. That whole effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's like the weird balance in this movie, right? Is that there's these moments of like body horror and just like really gross. Like he keeps trying to get this thing off and he's cutting himself and he's like, his wife rips the clown nose off and he has like no nose left. And those are played like half slapsticky, half almost like torture-y kind of. It's just really strange.
and that
It
nose
was-
bit, the nose bit gives birth to, in some ways, the funniest or black humory. I don't know, black funniest. I don't know what the hell you call it. Moment in the movie because the dog eats the nose when they
Yes.
pull it off, and then Peter Stormare's character Carlson shows up as the dog's attacking and straight cuts its head off with the machete, and you're just like, where did he get the machete? And now there's rainbow blood squirting out of the dog.
Well, I mean,
it's
where
just-
does anyone
it's
really
stupid.
get a machete, John?
Yeah, I don't know. The whole
thing
thing.
that
that
I-
part-
I do think
Related
he
to
had
that-
the funniest line. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Casey, Joe, go ahead.
You're just used to it, huh? I do think he had the funniest line where he looks at the son and just goes, "We have to kill your daddy."
That's what that whole dog decapitation thing represents something that kind of happens throughout this movie, that like they kind of are off to the races right away. The like initial birthday party scene is like the first thing that happens in the movie, and then 5 minutes later they're ripping this nose off, and then he meets up with this guy who is going to rid him of the curse, who immediately tries to decapitate him, and that all happens in the first like 20 minutes of the film. Which is kind of crazy because those are things that maybe should have happened like in a climactic scene towards the end.
Sure.
And then there's just so much more movie after that.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where like the sort of uneven pacing of this was that, like, to me, that was the biggest like drawback to this movie. Is it Act One, it has like a pretty standard 3-act structure, but they were just weirdly spaced out. Like, I think they really could have trimmed down that opening sequence. They probably could have gotten to some of the like real aggressive demon shit earlier. Although what they ended up doing was focusing.
Tell me more about aggressive demon shit.
I mean, no, but like, how crazy was the
painful.
demon at the end? Like, and you only really get the demon for 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
most of the movie, and we sort of talked
It's
about
a real Trojan demon. It's
Yeah.
You know what's
Well,
weird
there's a
too?
whole scene
in
where the
clown
wife
trappings.
where the
Joe.
wife goes to like the guy's warehouse and watches a video of what you assume is like almost like an exorcism or something.
Yeah.
And that takes up like probably 10 minutes, but nothing ever comes of that. Like she watches this video and then there's kind of
Well,
not much going on. Like
That's when you realize that the Peter Stormare character basically killed 5 kids earlier, and that so like you're right. I agree with you, Joe. Like there's
but that could have
lot
been
of
done in a sentence. Like that could have been done
Yeah.
in a conversation.
Well, and I think that was the thing. There was a lot of setup and sort of I wouldn't even call it exposition. Because they would say it's like story building, but it's just a ton of story. Like there's way more narrative than was probably needed for a movie that's called Clown.
Yeah. But this movie really harkened back to me to like goofy shit in the 80s, and it's stuff that you'd find on late night cable. That's what really stuck out to me. Because back in the day, you used to flip through channels in the middle of the night, and you'd come across something on Skinemax or something like that. Middle of the night, don't know what the hell it is. You come across a weird scene, like this dude stuck in a clown suit, and it just gets weirder and weirder. It really feels like that. Yeah, it's not the greatest storytelling. There are some pacing problems. I agree that like the stuff with the video and whatnot could have definitely been ousted, but I think everything else they did around it, and they kept it simple enough too. They didn't try and go completely overboard with it, so it was pretty straightforward. You knew where they were going, so it was more that you could relish in the fact of the goofy shit that they were doing and the effects they were throwing into it. So it kind of made it fun.
You know what this would be like to me, and Casey, that's a really good point. That like we kind of forget that. I don't know what our listenership is in terms of how old they are, but This definitely has like almost that like ice cream man vibe to me, where
Yeah.
exactly.
you're like, if you're not familiar, Ice Cream Man was this really shitty '90s horror movie that Clint Howard was in. That every
A
fucking
direct to
movie,
video.
every movie that you watched or rented on VHS in the '90s, there was a preview for Ice Cream Man, no matter what it was.
And it was in every
So-
fucking video store on Earth.
In every
Yeah.
video store on Earth. So like you pick up Ice Cream Man off the shelf, and not on like Jack Frost or Uncle Sam or something like that, and you're like, oh, this is a fucking horror movie about an ice cream man. And so
Yeah.
Clown
But to me,
is the
Ice
same
Cream
sort
Man
of
is
thing.
like
this
fun.
is a
Like-
movie about a clown,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Like
Yeah,
I don't think this has like that lighthearted, not lighthearted,
Yeah.
but sort of funny vibe to it. That
I
That
I
Ice
found
Cream
it
Man
funny. Maybe that says
No,
something
I
about
found the
me
beginning
personally.
funny, but it definitely takes a hard R at some point. I feel like the tone in the first act, if they had kept that up a little more, this could have been like a complete classic. Because and what they needed to do is kind of ride the line, like make it disturbing, make it bloody and gory, but if you kind of keep that comedic edge, I think I would be giving this thing like a rave review. But it gets so weird, and it's like they don't set you up for it, and you're like, what is even happening?
Yeah, and that's where
He
I
like
think some of
literally
it's editing.
murders a kid that's playing Call of Duty because he was a
I think-
dickhead. To
Again,
his
this
son.
makes me sound like a creeper or something, but I thought that was hilarious because throughout that whole scene, you have that kid acting cocky when he's playing Call of Duty, and his friends are he puts the controller down because he hears something, and then his friends are like teabagging him and everything like that as it's going on, and it winds up with they're like, "Yeah, screw you, we're playing." Right when he gets killed, and you see it all splattered.
I mean,
Sing-
that scene is
thought-
about as funny as a scene about a clown killing a kid can possibly be.
yeah, exactly.
That's that weird line that this movie walks is like the second you start killing kids, it's just a different movie.
Yeah.
I feel like you tossed in a slide whistle. That could have been a lot more fun.
Mhm.
What?
But no, I,
If only we were on a Google Hangout right now, we'd probably actually have.
I actually, I think Eric's right in that, like, to me, a lot of this was an editing issue. I'm sure they could recut this to be a little punchier, like keep a little bit more of that weirdness in. They could still go gory with it, but I would have
I
liked
think the
that.
gore is kind of awesome. Like it kind of needs the
Yeah.
gore. It's just it
No,
gets
no,
so
I'm saying
dark
gore
at some point
is-
that you're like, wow, like
Yeah, no,
tonally dark.
I think it should have gone gorier, like more, like they had the,
like over the top.
yeah, like so they had a bunch of scenes. There's a scene where he shoots himself in the head, which is
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
graphic, and it's hilarious because it like spatters this rainbow blood on the tile.
I laughed out loud. It was like snow cone machine.
Yeah,
Or, right. Either you make the whole thing funny, or you change the tone of the first act, and you like lean into this bizarre, dark, tragic story that's still weird, but you're like, wow, they're taking that super seriously. It's
I
just
like
that
that-
it's just that it turns at some point.
The beginning felt like a sappy after school special to me almost. I thought it worked.
The beginning totally
don't-
works, but
don't
that's what
bully-
makes the second half of the movie so weird.
Don't
Yeah.
bully people, or you'll literally get murdered by a clown.
That's just good
You know
life
what,
advice.
It's a good
Yeah,
message
yeah.
for kids.
it made me think. You guys ever seen the Stephen King adaptation for Thinner?
Yeah.
It was
Years ago.
This was like another talk about terrible '90s horror movies. This to me, like it's the exact same story, right? Like Thinner, at least like the guy does something somewhat evil. I mean, he kills. I think he runs someone over, and that's how he gets cursed. But otherwise, it's kind of the same story of like dude is cursed and like can't figure out what the hell's going on, and I mean here he starts killing children. I think in Thinner he just gets really thin. So maybe it's a little different. It felt like
Do believe that
terms
is
of,
what
like,
happ's in Thinner, yes.
in terms of like a narrative arc though, that's sort of what it reminded me of.
I think he turns into a clown in that one also.
So we
Thin
don't get into
clown.
this a lot in these type of movies when we talk about it, but for me, I thought the clown, the actual monster in this movie, I thought it was pretty great with the everything, all the effects and everything, and the
Oh,
makeup they had for it, and the way they had it gradually progress throughout the movie. I thought was pretty great. And so when we finally get to see the end product, I thought it was pretty creepy and it looked pretty awesome and pretty gnarly. And I like the concept of it, with his skin and all that stuff. But they did such a good job with the makeup and stuff. Like when John talked about earlier, when she pulled his nose off and stuff, that actually hurt. Even Mark said he was checking his nose all day.
Yeah, it's
Well,
pretty gross.
I liked the fake backstory around Clown and Cloyne. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I went and looked it up to see if it was just like actual or total bullshit. So
Yeah.
Cloyne.
agreed.
Free
Cloning.
old freaky cousin Cloyne.
But it's just another awesome example of like what I do like about this movie is just they lean into it. Like,
Yeah.
sure, let's make some weird. You know where clown comes from, right?
But like to go back to Casey's point, that harkens back. Like you could make, I'm sure I can't. I don't even remember anything from like say the Ice Cream Man. But if you think about like Jack Frost, it was like serial killer fell into some snow and now he's a fucking killer snowman, right? So it's like you don't. This doesn't have to have any basis in anything that resembles reality, and it's just kind of a throwback in that way that it just does not give a fuck about
But it is.
anything. Really.
But it was like the other thing that's a little weird here. I mean, this is where there's like so many. When I was talking before about how there's so many like narrative elements, like they make the wife pregnant. Like that's a really serious thing to like introduce.
Oh, yeah.
And it actually does come up. Like that's one of those moments where just cut that out of the movie and it to me lightens the movie a little bit or makes it a little punchier. They make that a pretty big plot point to the point where in the sort of climactic scene he's even sort of attacking this baby that you don't even know is there because she's fucking skinny. But I don't know. That's like one of those weird elements where I'm like, why include that at this point?
Yeah.
Here's a question, John. Do you think the guy who wrote this movie was a clown?
The writer is the director.
I mean, do you think this is a guy who was a clown and just like has some really deep thoughts about what it means deep down in your soul to be a clown? He just had to get it out.
Well,
I'm only sort of kidding.
It's funny. I don't know if you looked up his credits. You know what he worked on prior to this movie was Onion News Network. He basically had done like a ton of stuff for the Onion, 2011, 2012.
Weird.
I've heard of that.
So he's definitely more of a comedy guy. I also mentioned this over email. I'm curious. It's a little off topic, but did you guys saw this director is tapped to do the reboot of Spider-Man for the Marvel Universe?
Yeah.
That straight up blew my mind.
That is kind of nuts.
Up,
I mean, like,
up
what,
is down,
like,
down is up.
weird.
Who knows
Do you
what's going on
think
these
they
days,
saw
John?
this movie and they were like, this is the guy for Spider-Man right here? Like, I don't understand.
He also did the recent Cop Car with Kevin Bacon, which is okay.
I've heard some good stuff about that.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
seen
it was
that.
a decent movie.
On bloodygoodhorror.com.
Yeah, it went really dark on the end of that one too. So it's got kind of a different tone towards the end of it as well with this. And now, God, wonder what's going to happen with Spider-Man tone-wise.
So you're saying Venom might just straight rip Spider-Man's head off at the end of?
He might and shit down his neck,
murder a little girl.
It is, like I know we said it, but I think it is worth saying too, like how good the effects are. And that's a huge drawing point. Like it's just such a bizarre concept of this suit that kind of melds with you and becomes you. I'm just looking at the pictures in the video and I'm like, man, that stuff does look really cool.
If this movie was 80 minutes long and you still get that like demon payoff, this movie's fucking awesome. I love this movie.
Yeah.
It is the last 20 minutes that just asks so much of you from like a viewer's perspective to hang on to see what it all means. It's like it's so on the nose that this has to be short for it to work. Otherwise, you just start looking at what's wrong with it and going like,
I'm not gonna lie. Part of me really wanted, like, after the wife ripped his nose off, trying to get the red plastic nose off, I wanted like him to go to sleep and wake up in the morning and have the red plastic nose have grown back.
I was expecting that. Yeah.
Oh, that would have been sweet.
I know. I like the old gnarly
with
store-looking nose.
Yeah, he just walks around with a gash on his face for the rest of the movie. It's like, yikes.
I do think my favorite line in the whole movie, and this probably isn't verbatim, but after the party, he sleeps on the couch that night, and like his wife is like, "Honey, don't get any of your clown stuff on the couch." Which I thought was really funny. Like this movie has some funny lines in it, so it's just this. It's crazy, like extremes in terms of the tone.
It's like a dark version of what was that movie with Tim Allen? Was that just called Santa Claus?
Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Dude, there were like three of those. It's a whole series.
It's the same thing, but just with clowns and murder. Kid murder.
No belly, though.
Yeah.
So that's a good one for the DVD. It's like the Santa Claus, but with clowns and murder.
Well, you know what's funny, Eric? Now that you say that, like the other movie that I was thinking about while watching this, and I have no idea what this movie is even about, but there's this movie Krampus that's coming up.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
That I think is
like
about
Krampus.
like basically like an evil like
I can't
Santa
wait.
demon.
Do you not know Krampus, John?
Well, no, I know what Krampus is.
You are
like, we talked
Nordic.
about the
Krampus
show.
comes from those lands.
No, I know, but that's where part of me almost wonders if this is getting like blocked from release because I don't think it like maybe is too close to that, but I don't know. For some reason that was kind of jumping into my
Come
head.
to think of it, John, you look like Krampus a little bit.
It's true.
Yeah.
So Eli Roth's been hitting problems with getting Green Inferno out and stuff like that. We know there's been a lot of delays or anything. Do you think part of the problem of it not getting released could have something to do with Eli Roth and
Maybe
some
he's
kind of
lost
political thing that's
his-
going on with him?
He's lost his cachet. I mean, here's the thing. What was the last
Did
movie
have
he?
Jay?
I think he had enough to get something like this released on DVD with his name on it. Yeah, I mean,
Well, no,
but he
my
hasn't
guess
directed
is-
anything like for friggin' out. Like, what was the last thing he did other than just like be that dude in that Tarantino movie?
Hostile.
as
Like
far-
but he's always producing, but he's not really doing. If you want to be like a presents guy, you also have to be going out and making amazing movies so that your name then like carries weight when you put it on it.
I mean, as far as the Green Inferno goes, like when is a good time to sneak a good old fashioned cannibal movie into theaters? Like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't surprise
No,
me.
well,
Apparently
that's not
September.
That's
Bide
not
your
like
time.
an Eli Roth cachet thing to me. That just screams like we couldn't fucking figure out what a final cut of this movie is going to be and how we're going to release this theatrically in
and-
that time.
I actually think that's exactly the same thing that's going on with Clown. Like, you can't put a movie where a clown murders children into theaters
But
broadly.
like,
You just can't do
I mean, it's not that good. It's not theater
No,
quality. But throw it out on demand. That's the world we live in. Sell it to
Yeah.
Netflix
Yeah.
or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep.
You figure it out. It's not my job.
Get it up on the tubes.
Yeah, put it on the tubes.
I heard a rumor
Pneumatic
that-
tubes
I
where
heard
you
a
lift
rumor
the
that
thing
it's
up and you stick
actually
it in, and then it goes.
sure.
Oh.
I heard a rumor that it's actually uploaded on the tube somewhere if you're looking for it.
I'm sure.
I did not hear that rumor. Anything
can't
else?
You gotta
Import it, though,
follow
just
Bloody
so
Good
you
Horror
know.
on Instagram. The whole conversation was happening on the picture of Clown.
Anything else you guys want to talk about when it comes to
The
Clown?
fucking rainbow blood is awesome. I just
Yeah.
like I laughed out loud the first time I saw it, and I don't know if that was the intended reaction, but
I'd love to see kind of how they did that.
Well,
it's
you know what's
just so they go into this whole like coin business, like clowns weren't meant to be fun; they were meant to be scary, right? And
But then why would they have rainbow blood?
Right, and then the first time he bleeds,
That's
like
a good
fucking
point.
snow comes out of the back of his head.
But like, I actually want to ask like kind of a weird question. But like, how does the rainbow blood work? Because it's like rainbow, but it splatters onto the wall, and then there's like bands of colors. It's not like the blood itself has rainbows in it. Do you know what I'm
it's like-
saying?
It's like magnets, John. How do they work?
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't think we should try and explain
All
that.
right,
Let's-
God damn it,
Yeah.
Clown.
guys.
I think my
literally
dog. I think the dog, not my dog. The dog was probably one of my favorite things in this movie because it was so predictable and you knew exactly where they're going. You had that whole scene. She pulls the nose off, and then you're like, "Oh no, he's gonna eat it," and you knew where it's gonna happen. But that's how we get introduced to the rainbow blood too.
Yeah.
Rainbow blood.
Oh, this movie.
Uh-huh.
How does it work?
All right, guys. Clown. I think this is gonna do it. Unless you guys have anything else to talk about.
Not really.
Anybody have a creepy clown experience as a child?
That comes up in the SBGH, so we should wait.
Yeah, I was gonna
Gotcha.
say we actually have covered some other SBGH topics already. I think.
Love it. Mark, is there a movie guide for this?
I doubt it,
Because
but I
that would
haven't
be
looked.
awesome. No, it's
Hold
not.
on.
I'm sure there's not. It's not really. It's not out, so it wouldn't.
Yeah.
be, but-
Okay. I'm not even gonna look then.
All
Fuck
right,
it.
guys. That's it for Clown. Let's take a quick break and do some
Oh,
fan
are we going to do
mail.
recommendations?
Oh
or-
God damn it!
Oh, God.
Does it matter, Joe?
It does.
Damn it, Joe.
How
Hey
else
Eric,
will
throw him the
people
voicemail.
know?
Let's go for the whole thing.
Go to voicemail. Mark, what'd you think of Clown? Yay or nay?
If it pops up on Netflix, sure, I would not go out of your way to see it. But
100% on Netflix.
Yeah.
Joe,
Nah, I wouldn't bother.
John.
Either way.
Yeah, I was gonna say not 100% on Netflix, maybe like 60%.
If every other movie gets taken off for some reason, and this is all you got, then yeah.
Casey.
I would say 100% on Netflix. There is far worse shit on Netflix than this movie. Far worse.
Yeah, and if you like off the beaten path stuff, I think this is one to check out if you got time. So
Yep.
some people have a lot of time in their hands. I'm not one of them, but some people do.
It's fun.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Ooh.
The house looks just like the one next to it. And the one next to that. And the one next to that. A young couple live in it.
Give Ken a kiss.
You are so obnoxious.
with their 3 children.
Honey, chew each bite 10 times.
And something more.
They're here. Sweetie, remember last night? Do you remember when you woke up and you said we were here?
Uh-huh.
Well, who did you mean? Who's here?
TV people.
Something's funny going on here next door. Something,
We were wondering if maybe you had experienced any disturbances lately.
what kind of disturbances?
Now Steven Spielberg crosses a frightening new threshold into a world within our own. Its form is revealed.
What is it?
Its focus is clear. And the games are over. Poltergeist. It knows what scares you.
Hi, this is Harvey Stevens, Damien from The Omen, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back. Just one of the many things, John, that you get with a Patreon is you can watch me eat my dinner during the bumpers.
Oh.
It's a win-win.
If you ever see me,
You
if
get
you
to
ever
eat.
see me leaning out of the frame, it's because I'm eating dinner, not that I'm trying to ask my own D.
There's no frame, Mark. I'm letting it all hang out. I was eating zucchini that I had no time to cook. You ever had raw zucchini? It's all right. It's not the best.
It's all right.
It's just okay.
Yeah.
That's
As far as prison food goes, it's great.
So, info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. First up, Stevie D. Just wanted to give you all a big old thanks. I had to do 2 12-hour solo drives in 48 hours, and having the entire back catalog available to Patreon was awesome. I just downloaded 12 that looked interesting, loaded them up on my iPod, and hit the road. After driving 24 hours, my back hurt, but my earballs were pleased, so thank you for that.
Oh, that's nice.
God bless you.
So that at a certain level on Patreon, you just get the whole archives. No more messing with classics. You can still do classics if you want. Podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com. But if you just
feel free to mess with them.
If you just want it all, you just want to dip your balls in some Bloody Good Horror, Patreon is the way to go. Steve VD also says, Brock Lesnar versus Lin Shaye in the clown suit, skin whatever. Who would win?
Wait, Lin Shaye's in the clown suit?
Lin Shaye's in the clown suit.
But our further,
I thought that was clear, Joe.
Did we mention that Lin Shaye now follows us on Twitter?
That's right.
Yeah, it was a high point.
Living the
So
dream,
I gotta go
baby.
with her.
it all depends on if they're fighting in the further or not.
Oh man!
Fair point.
And how far has she progressed into demonhood? That's another. We need further research.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you.
Next up, Hayden. I emailed last week suggesting the doc Lost Soul to a resounding "Let's move on." I should have elaborated a bit. The full title is Lost Soul: The Doomed Journey of Richard Stanley's Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
much longer. See, why wouldn't you just give us that
We have
information?
a review on the site for that.
I recommend it to
Yeah.
anyone who enjoys stories of behind-the-scenes madness on film sets. It's very entertaining and less biased than Jodorowsky's Dune, which I felt was a bit overrated. Just pledged to Patreon. Can't wait for the Something Redcast. Keep it up. Something Redcast, of course, is Cece's upcoming literature bookcast.
books.
Ew, I read
Books.
literature.
What do they mean?
Cece's doing a book it. You'll get a
That's right.
free
Pizza.
personal pan pizza.
Rewarding literacy with obesity.
Sure.
You know somebody's going to show up and want their pizza now.
Yeah.
Joe. Good job.
So just so we don't ignore what she's saying 2 weeks in a row, that's an interesting. I really like Jodorowsky's Dune. It was a little bit. It was jerking him off a little bit, but I thought it was a pretty delightful little documentary.
Yeah, I like the illustrations and stuff they'd show because it really made me want to know what Jodorowsky's Dune was going to be like.
There was a
I've definitely
review
seen that story before.
for this Dr. Moreau one on the site, and if I remember right, it was pretty highly rated. So
yeah, I've heard a lot of good things. It's on my list.
Yeah,
We talk about this.
I think it's on Netflix now. I swear I just saw it somewhere. So
It is very hard for us to review documentaries on the show. I don't know if we've actually talked about it on the show.
Well, we did during Nightmare, I think.
Yeah.
Which was a documentary that we just reviewed.
Yeah, that's true. But it is kind of difficult because all we can do is talk about the real life things that happened and whether or not it succeeds as a documentary, and then not much else.
I will give the other place I heard about Lost Soul, I'll give a quick shout out to the How Did This Get Made podcast, which I think we've talked about on the show before, but they do an episode on Island of Dr. Moreau, which is hilarious, and they talk about the Lost Soul documentary as well.
So there you go, Hayden.
Also,
we talked
documentary now.
Eric wanted to move on friggin' 5 minutes ago.
Have you guys watched documentary now yet?
No.
Yes, I love it.
You can't tell me what to do, Mark.
Dude, it's so good. It's so
the
good.
episode with the first episode that they did spoofing Great Gardens was really awesome, and then the second one on Nanook of the North was pretty hilarious.
I took a film class. I'm aware of Nanook of the North.
Yeah. Sandy Passage is good and also somewhat relevant for this podcast, and I won't tell you why. You just have to watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm guessing
It's good.
clown.
Yeah.
Clowns.
Right.
Jump where the huskies go, and don't you eat that yellow snow.
Sure, yes, what Joe said. Last up, Shailena Gibson. I know this is a few weeks late, but I had to share. I used to have sleep paralysis as a kid. It would freak me the hell out, and it wasn't helped by the fact that my great aunt once told me that the devil was sitting on my chest deciding if he wanted to take my soul.
Jesus.
Why would you say that shit to a little kid? Dick move, Shailena.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, that's
I can
that's
see
not
that
right.
freaking you out maybe a little bit. Next up, Caitlin. Brock Lesnar with a gremlin sidekick versus Candyman with a critter sidekick.
Which gremlin?
I mean, Brock Lesnar is going to win 99%
It's
of
the lady gremlin with boobs.
I have always found her attractive. My wife.
That's because she looks like somebody from the Bad Girls Club.
That is a good-looking gremlin.
Look at titties. Oh my god.
Oh my god, Joe.
Those gams.
Joe,
a good-looking.
every week when I think you have reached peak Joe, you somehow manage to outdo yourself.
Ever since a young child, I had a.
To the lady gremlin.
Joe became a man whilst watching Gremlins 2.
There's got to be others out there.
Vintage Joe.
God.
Classic. info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. It's so much worse when I have to look at Joe. It's so much worse. We're also on Twitter at BG Horror with the hashtag AskBGH. Mark, what do we do?
Sorry, I just can't stop thinking about what Joe just said. All right,
that was so genuine. That was the best part.
No, it's 100% true. Also, I'm not kidding. My way, Mark. Next time you see Leslie, you can ask her. We have had countless conversations about this.
Holy shit!
Eric, you gotta grab the pick.
First one, we gotta do this. Wise movie nerd, do you have any new shenanigans? Hashtag listening to BGH classics.
Mark, just
John,
go ahead. Just go ahead and read the next one, Mark.
I keep missing the chat. Sorry, I'm losing it again.
Good sweet Jesus.
Sorry, bro.
What are you doing here?
You sleep at the wheel here, buddy? Wake up.
You have no idea.
Wake up.
I'm just tweeting, or I'm just pinging them directly to Eric as well now. I'm double.
So is anyone gonna answer the question that I brought up, or no? We not.
Oh well, no. I was saying you should pull up the second one because it's basically the same question. We got some shenanigans, love, and I don't know.
Oh yeah, second one, lowly ant. Anyone want to call shenanigans on anything?
Oh, I have not. had time to prepare for this.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I got nothing.
So there you go.
Strong
Did
play.
Eric just like disappear? Is he just like, are you awake, buddy?
On mute.
I think-
Sorry.
yeah, there
My
you go.
shenanigans is on
Wow.
people who do not like System of a Down.
Okay. It's very specific.
I don't know. Joe. Joe was
about-
reminding me of it.
Really glad you were saving that up, and then you.
What about people who
banana,
don't-
banana, terracotta, banana, banana, banana,
Banana.
Why'd you leave the keys upon the table? You wanted to.
Oh God. Never mind. Those people are fine.
Eric, you're booted off the live stream forever if you don't post up that picture of the sexy gremlin. that I just
Listen,
seen.
I'll go find one. Go ahead and read the next tweet.
I just sent it to you already. It's
I'm not
right
in the
there.
chat. I got a whole thing going on over here, Mark.
Holy mother of
He's
God.
having
Okay.
chat problems.
Here, I'll send it to you personally because that's how much I care. There you go.
I'm perfectly capable of finding a picture of the sexy gremlin.
Why find it when I sent it to you? All right. Next one.
Should we leave? Is
He
everything
has it saved in his Google search history.
Yeah.
The best sexy gremlin.
I just have to take a picture of the sexy gremlin poster that I have next to my monitor and send
I'm
it
all
to
of
you.
a sudden glad Joe doesn't record in his bathroom anymore.
Oh, God.
All right, next one is from the franchise 83. Hashtag get a daughter. Have my third one coming any day now. Need to borrow Eric BGH machete and faux severed head in about 10 years.
Oh, 3. That's
a lot.
That's a lot of kids.
God bless you.
I don't think
Good
Joe
for
ever
you.
said get 3 daughters. I think he just said get a daughter.
Just get one. Just get a. Here.
It was kind of like stop after 2, I think. But
Yeah.
Now you're
got,
just, you're just showing off.
Congrats, man. Congrats.
I got to get
good
a
for you.
daughter to beat all get a daughters for this weekend. We're taking the boyfriend on a family trip with this
Oh,
weekend.
jeez.
What?
Oh, boy.
That sounds like the worst. Have
Yeah.
fun with that.
Casey, I have a good recommendation on a clown costume that you can wear when you go on the trip.
That's okay. He gets to be embarrassed by my mom all weekend, so it'll be interesting.
Oh my God. Casey's mom's the best. All right. Next one is from Reality Boy. I remember seeing the good old rat in the can torture at a young age, a very young age, in a movie. I hope. Hashtag tunnel rat.
I don't even know.
I thought it
what
was
that's
hilarious that
reference
Mark
to.
had never heard of that form of torture.
Right, of
wait.
all the forms of torture that I've heard of, that was one that I had not.
What is that in reference to? Did you guys
What are
talk
we
about this? I listened to the last episode. I didn't remember.
Yeah, okay, so one of the like flashback kills in Sinister 2 is that old medieval thing.
Oh,
You
yeah.
put the rat on, and then you put the like heat on top, so
Yeah.
it's gotta burrow its way through. And Mark in his poor gentle little soul was totally thrown by that.
How dare you, Mark?
He'd
not
never heard of such a
studying
thing.
Tortures.
That rat must be agitated.
Listen, Mark, don't ever visit European castles. You're not gonna like what you find there.
Oh,
Wasn't it in one of the Chuck Norris movies from the 80s? Like one of them. And then Chuck Norris ends up actually eating the rat, like underneath the thing. Nobody?
His
That
rage.
sounds hardcore.
Yeah.
All right, next
You
one.
wanted to.
Next one is from Dirty Bennett. How much do I have to donate to get a video of Andy doing the Buffalo Bill dance while Joe sings Goodbye Horses?
We're going to see him next week in a horror
I was
house.
going to say,
I'll
whatever the
donate
cost-
you money just so that doesn't happen.
whatever the cost of a one-day ticket to Horror Hound weekend, because
Yeah.
those two people will be in the same room. So
You can probably see that live.
just buy Andy some liquor, and he'll meet you halfway. All right, next one from Lowly Ant. Does John Wilkes Booth have a lightsaber? I don't know.
I think his account got
Holy
hacked.
crap! That is a whole hardcore old school BGH reference. That is something that years and years ago I was working on like an after school program. This was like I was just out of college, and some kid asked me that. Like he was like
Wait, did you talk about it on a classic episode?
I must have. How else would this person know that?
I don't
Standing
know.
outside your window, was it
Yeah.
RIGNC?
No. I mean that probably was like OG, like first 50 episodes or something I talked about. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Maybe was that in reference? Was it our Abraham Lincoln vampire hunter or whatever episode?
Maybe. Yeah.
Wow.
That would be a natural segue.
I totally
As
forgot that
natural
was the
of-
thing that happened until this person just reminded me.
Yeah,
I think
no,
it's kind of funny that the whole Patron, whatever we're calling it, is now bringing up like all these old references that we had from.
I know. I'm a little worried about it, to be
a few years ago.
Patrons, Patreon.
Our patrons. I cannot wait to start mocking John and the fog in Norway again.
Yeah, someone go listen to our, what was the name of that?
Oh shoot.
Fucking Viking movie. What was that Viking movie?
What's that called?
Valhalla Rising.
There you go.
Yeah, good
Go
call,
listen
Mark.
to that, and then you'll finally understand all the John Fog jokes.
I think it was also actually called.
I kind of want to listen to it again.
Fogging is what it was.
I'm pretty sure I had a really good point there.
Do you even remember what it was?
Well, whatever. I'm not.
I remember you calling like bullshit on them actually being America because of the way the fog looked.
Yeah. I know.
You were not sufficiently convinced by their boat ride across the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah. I'm still gonna stand by that.
Eric, put some nerd glasses on John's face, would you? Next one is from He Is Hicks. Are there any legends or myths y'all would like to see explored in future horror?
I mean, most of it's been done, right?
Yeah, I'm always down for a good Bigfoot flick.
I don't know that I've ever seen a good like Chupacabra movie.
Oh,
well, I was gonna say like
there was a good X-Files.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I was gonna say like some of the like Aztec shit. We watched really old. One was what was that movie where the teenagers are getting attacked by the vines in the jungle?
Yes.
Ruins.
The Ruins. Yeah, great
Ruins.
book. I think I remember not loving the movie, but the book is fantastic. That's not really about a myth, but I would love something set, in that same area. I'm sure there's got to be some crazy, Olmec ruin fucking myths going on there. We could get down with.
Like Legends of the Hidden Temple, but all the kids die.
Oh.
Well, I was gonna say, or like the DuckTales. I think it was either a movie or like a multi-part episode where they go, and find the big gold. Or I think it's like El Dorado. You guys remember that DuckTales?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Whatever.
Sure.
That might be the first time DuckTales has ever been mentioned on this podcast.
DuckTales.
Oh,
Woo.
we've definitely talked about
Yeah,
DuckTales
definitely.
before.
I distinctly remember before I joined the show, like flipping out on a bus ride, listening to you guys try and remember what Chippendale's Rescue Rangers were about, and, like punching a window in like aggravation.
Rescue Rangers.
And that was the day I decided I had to make it on the show. And
I gotta get on this fucking show because this is driving me insane.
Joe, Chippendale's Rescue Rangers was about amazing, wholesome after-school entertainment. That's
I think
what it was
it's like
about.
you guys couldn't remember the name of.
It was
like,
no, I think it was the dude like the Launchpad McQuack or whatever the hell that guy's name is.
Launchpad McQuack was on was DuckTales.
Yes, you're right.
But
Gadget.
then wasn't he also in the Tailspin show too?
You go fuck yourself right now.
No, what? I'm
All right.
being
Yeah, 100%
serious.
was not.
Let's move on to something actually
Launchpad
important.
was his given name. All right, next one. Alan Murch. Today I saw one of my pet chickens swallow a large mouse whole. What things have your pets done that have shocked you?
Why do you have a pet chicken?
Man, he's got a farm, man.
Chickens eat mice? I found that weird. Thought they ate
Yeah,
like
that's bizarre.
corn. Mark, this just reminded me for no reason whatsoever, but I wanted to give a shout out to BC.
Yeah.
Who went back to last Spooktacular, and anybody who watched, there was a moment where my wife creeped around the house and scared me through the window. And I didn't really say anything, but I kind of mentioned a few minutes later. He went back and made an animated GIF out of it, and it's actually shit. I could probably.
I don't think I've seen it.
If you
No,
go,
it's great.
I think I might have retweeted it. If you go to my retweets, if you can find that,
Right.
or
you know how to work
or
the
go to
Twitter?
BC's Twitter, and it's on there. If you can send it to me, I'll put it in the thing here. It's
So you're
real
gonna
funny.
Tell me why? I mean,
It was
I
good.
feel like
The terror is so real.
Oh shit. He's been working on a lot of cool video game stuff. He's been doing some like independent game stuff. So
He
does a lot
also
of
said that while he was doing it, his wife came in and was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Who are these people? I'm
She's
not seeing it.
always.
Someone
my
else is
favorite.
gonna have to dig it up because I've got other shit to do. Like read the Twitter stuff.
Man, internet people are really into Gadget from DuckTales. I'm just saying, it's kind of creepy.
Is that the lady squirrel?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's a roller coaster in Disneyland.
I can
Going
imagine.
for Gadget.
All right, next one is from OJom271. Brock Lesnar riding a unicorn versus Candyman riding the Luck Dragon.
Oh. Yeah, I gotta go unicorns.
I was gonna go dragon, but all right.
It's
You'd
a
be wrong.
dragon.
Yeah.
Candyman on a dragon? Does Candyman riding the dragon give the dragon the ability to breathe bees? Because in which case, it's all over.
Yeah, that would be a game changer.
Or does
I
Candyman
just,
then
like-
have fire bees?
I just kind of imagine like Brock Lesnar just ripping the horn off the unicorn and using it for stabbing. Is that a? That makes sense, right? No?
Yeah, sure.
Next one is from Blue State Pod. Yo, are y'all not going to smack around Tarantino for kind of taking a dump on It Follows and Scream?
Man, we were talking about it on Slack with the whole BGH crew, and I kind of had to ignore the conversation because, like, I like Tarantino, and it's kind of like, really, dude, this is what you're going to do now? You're just going to be old crotchety who thinks he can make every movie better than everybody else? Come on.
I think he had a point.
It Follows was fantastic. And
I
so was
mean,
Scream.
I like Tarantino, but what he
His
what he enjoys in movies and doesn't enjoy in movies is not going to have any effect on what I enjoy
His
in movies.
criticisms of
Yeah.
It Follows in particular, I thought were just bizarre.
I mean, Casey's right. He's kind of got like his own wacky tastes, and
Yeah.
I just don't like. I love his movies. I really like him. I think he's an interesting guy to read. Like even when he and I like, I haven't seen what he said about It Follows actually, but I actually want to go read it because I think it'll probably be interesting, even if I just disagree with him.
Yeah.
I just found it rage-inducing, so I just moved on.
I mean, I don't know. I just never had this idea of Tarantino as someone who is like, this is not a Scorsese. Like, I just imagine Tarantino has like all of these just weird fucking opinions
What
about
I find
everything.
bizarre about it is that, but he always seemed like a champion of those kind of movies, like little small culty, especially horror movies. So I find it really bizarre for him to just come out and be criticizing one. Scream, whatever. Everybody gets a boner over hating on Scream, even though it's amazing. But like, It Follows. Really, you're gonna like break It Follows balls? It was like one of the best movies this year. Just saying, seashells.
Preach.
I just didn't like the part where it followed people.
Yeah, I
It's just
thought,
not it.
what if it ran away from people?
It's a little too clingy.
Why don't
And then
run
you
away?
call it Follows still. You get it? Huh?
All right, next one. Blue Daisy 90. Who's the scariest clown you've ever seen? Hashtag Pennywise, hashtag clown, hashtag Twisty, hashtag killer clown, hashtag amusement.
Yeah, I go
I would
Pennywise.
say
Like,
anything in the pictures from the Gathering of the Juggalos.
Oh,
good one.
The pregnant clown smoking a cigarette is probably the scariest clown that I've seen.
Yeah.
I think you're muted again, Eric.
Eric may have muted himself.
Successfully put the
Eric?
GIF that BEC made in the video, so you can check it out there.
Proud of you.
Thanks, buddy.
Take
did
me
it.
to church.
Last one.
No, I think you skipped one. Oh,
What?
sorry. I just there's two more.
Oh,
You
really,
guys
John?
You got
Get your
Claire
shit
Quilty,
together.
and then
It doesn't count as
okay.
skipping one as you send it while I'm talking.
All right.
Yeah, what the fuck, John?
All right. Claire Quilty. Been using Feedly ever since the demise of Google Reader. Don't take away the RSS feed.
Shout out to Eric.
Eric, you're still muted, so you can just, I don't know what the fuck
Dear
you're
Lord.
talking.
Damn it!
I just
Listen.
saw your celebration, and
We are halfway to 10 people who use RSS feeds. We're gonna get there, buddy. Better get that hat ready. Listen, I know Schnars uses RSS feeds, and you just won't.
No, I don't. I'm out. I'm out on
Can I
RSS.
seriously not amend a statute of limitations on this? Because it's been like almost a month, and I think maybe 4 people have come forward.
I don't know. I think we're actually. I'm on Eric's side. This is more than I was expecting.
Plenty of people use. It's still a thing, Mark. Get the hell out of here. Otherwise, how do you? But here's a serious question. Now, I'm not like using a Google homepage. All right, I have an app. It reads my. Otherwise, like, do you just go to websites? Like, how do you get all of your? Don't you follow like a ton of sites every day?
Reddit.
Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter
Okay,
mainly,
that's fine,
and
that's fine.
I just don't read things on the internet.
I follow
anymore.
way too many people on Twitter though to be able to see everything that I want to see.
Reddit is my RSS feed.
That's fair. I'm
Yeah.
into that.
Yep. There you go. All right, last one. Oh man, John snuck another one in.
Yeah, we got one from the live streamers.
God.
Mr. Ian
All right,
Gifford
cool.
live streaming question.
2 more. Robale, what the hell does Eli Roth do? I feel like he's made 3 movies in 20 years.
I think that's a totally. I mean, he's probably been producing a ton of crap, but I think that's a
Nah.
pretty fair assessment, to be honest with you.
Eli Roth is living off of his Bear Jew money, and just kind of.
At least he's out there championing the genre, though.
Yeah, I got no problem with Eli Roth. I agree. I don't know what he's doing.
I don't really either, but right. It's like, what are you doing, bro?
He's not a bad-looking gentleman.
No, he's really not. He's handsome.
Dr. Mambo. All right.
Dr. Mambo.
Next one. Ian Clifford. Pitch me a horror movie based on the premise of extreme couponing.
I like that.
I think you have to go something like 7 with gluttony. And so they decide they buy all the stuff with the food with the extreme couponing, and they have to eat it because they have it, and they kind of get big and explode.
That stuff is amazing, though. Have you guys ever watched that?
The biggest nightmare for an extreme couponer, though, is that they get through their register and all their coupons, and they still owe like $5, and then they lose their shit.
I was gonna say like
parts of stuff, and like they pay like $18 for it. It's amazing.
I was gonna say death by a million paper cuts or something having to do with scissors.
Or their shelves give out and they get suffocate in the.
See, avalanche. I think their worst fear would be having to pay for food.
This movie sounds so bad.
Their worst fear would be having to pay for food. That's you wrap the whole movie around that. What if
the woman's husband has a heart attack having to carry it all in from the car?
What if Obama banned coupons?
Oh Lord! Now you're going political.
Out there was a sale on death.
Lord.
There you go. That's it.
We made it.
All right.
Good showing. Good showing.
Love it. Clown. We talked about it.
What's happening here?
That's episode 344. A Bloody Good Horror. There's like a theatrical coming up soon. Like, what's going on? Tell me what's going on.
No. So the next movie so when we sent out the poll, we asked for patrons to pick 2 movies. And the second one is going to be Spring.
Oh, cool. I've been hearing a ton about that.
Yeah, it's been a lot of buzz. Sophie, I believe, reviewed it for the site. And yeah, so we'll be watching that next week. The week after that is Horror Hound Weekend. And I believe the same weekend as Horror Hound, The Visit hits theaters. So I'm thinking we'll probably catch that the weekend after. So that's the next couple weeks. That is the Shyamalan joint.
Creepy naked grandma.
That's grandma making kid cookies.
Shyamalan.
Would you climb in the oven to clean it for me, please?
Mm-hmm. God, I can't wait till that movie comes out so I can stop seeing that fucking preview.
I definitely won't turn it on when you're in there. Mm-hmm.
I am so tired of that trailer. Jesus.
I feel like we should just reenact it right now because we've all seen it enough times.
Yeah.
Mom, Grandma's acting kind of weird. Oh, she's just old, honey. I was in Step Brothers. I just did it.
9:30.
So, info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. If you go to bloodygoodhorror.com, you can find all of our social stuff. You can find, link at the top of the page, all of our Patreon stuff. If you're not in on that hot night train, you should be. So check that out. And we're coming into the fall. It's fucking September. Fall is happening.
Spooky school.
Spooky school is in session, bitches.
Also,
I hope you got your assignment notebook at the door.
Next week, you can catch a good portion of us at Horror Hound Weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
HorrorHoundWeekend.com. That'll be in Indianapolis, Indiana. That's a place.
Yeah.
I've been there, believe me.
It's fancy.
I've been there. It's like in the Eastern time zone, right? Even though everything else around it is in like the Central time zone.
Sure.
Pure chaos. Can Casey confirm that? I swear.
I looked at Casey on that one.
We're in Eastern.
Yeah, but isn't the rest of the state in like Central or something?
No, there's only
half, right?
There's like 2 pockets in the state that are on Central.
Okay, it is.
One of them being Gary around Chicago, and then a couple of hick areas on the bottom. It's the part of the state.
Who are they to think they can just buck the laws of nature?
Oh hell, we just got rid of daylight savings time like a couple years ago.
Oh my god!
What the?
So does that mean you don't get the extra hour in summer?
Right.
That sucks.
Wait, what?
Casey, that's the only reason. That's the only reason I continue to live.
Wait,
is that extra hour of sun I get in the summer?
Doesn't the rest of America do that though?
I probably said that wrong. Our time still changes with everybody else, but there was we had our own thing going on for a bit there that we got rid of like 5-6 years ago. It was a whole thing because IT work, server changes, and all sorts of stuff. It was a mess.
I'm so confused.
Indiana, who knew? All right, guys.
How does it work?
That's going to do it for episode 344. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you next week.
Adios.
Later.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.